Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about Star Trek Adventures, Modiphius 2d20, Warp Onyx Campaign, The Tales of Security Lieutenant Archibald. This is set in the Enterprise series with the NX-01, captained by Jonathan Archer. And where we left off was Archibald, at this point, is dealing with the issue of Tucker has come forward and says that Sato needs to be removed from her position because she's no longer stable, right? Emotionally or psychologically stable. And there have been reports from her coworkers that she's disheveled, confused, not focused, right? So basically, this was presented to the entire bridge crew, and Archibald cut the meeting short and spoke to Archer privately and explained to Captain Archer, that this is happening because he and Vatha were engaged in Betazoid meditation. And then explained everything, right? And how Vatha, for the last 5 months, has been speaking to an entity through her Betazoid meditation, a woman who speaks directly to her. And he believes at this point Vatha is in constant communication with this female entity. So Archibald says, listen, Captain Archer, don't remove her from her position. Let me go talk to her, and then I will give you a full, transparent, I'll tell you whether she is broken or not, like whether she can do her duty. So Archibald goes to Vatha and finds her in a completely disheveled state, back in the just sitting, and actually he goes and he finds her in the same place that she introduced Betazoid meditation to him. But when he was brought in, the Betazoid meditation, it was like in this dark crate area, and there was like a kind of a maze of these crates. And a lot of scenes happen in the Enterprise NX-01 where they're going into these dark cargo bays, right? And there's just boxes stacked, and you kind of go through the maze of the boxes, and then and it's usually very dark, and they use lights to go through. But Vatha had set up this path of candles, right? So when Archibald arrives, the path of candles is there, right? But it's scattered and jagged, right? And when he gets in, there's the circle that was originally there, that was kind of a perfect circle that Vatha actually introduced him to Betazoid meditation in. And so he goes into this circle, and what he finds is, and actually, now the same path is just scattered and like a jumbled mess of disoriented candles, right? And she is sitting off center in a corner, right, in the darkness, away from the light, right? And she's kind of, shaking, and she's really doing bad, right? And so Archibald, and so I said to the gold player, like, what do you do? And he's like, I fix the candles, right? I recenter them, and I make the same pattern that I was introduced to Betazoid meditation with. And then I pick up Vatha and I bring her back to, and I was like, oh my gosh, you're taking the same positions, right? You're going to be, you're going to take the same position that you took when she gave you Betazoid meditation. And I was shocked. I was like, that's really smart, right? And he's like, no, I'm going to put her in the position of a student, and I'm going to take her place. And I was like, whoa, the student has become the master. It was extremely impressive. And I think that's one of the things that's been really great about playing this campaign, is the gold Dragon Master, I feel like, is, it's mirrored energy. And sometimes I feel like I'm catching up, right? It really, there's a lot of talent on the player side here, which on the Dragon Master side. And I'm doing the best as I can, as always, to Dungeon Master well, right? And so basically we reach this point where, so they both sit down, and then they both close their eyes and go into Betazoid meditation, and they communicate through Betazoid meditation. And Archibald's like, talk to me. And she's like, we have to go. And he's like, where do we have to go? And she's like, we have to go back to the Ion Storm. And he's like, where we saved Eustace from? And she's like, yes, right? she says, I know you went with Sato and with Mayweather, but we have to go back to the Ion Storm right now. And he's like, well, that's extremely dangerous. First of all, to breach the Ion Storm is almost impossible. I think the only pilot in Starfleet that can even do it is Mayweather. And we barely made it through with our lives. And so Vatha says, listen, we have to go back. The female entity is saying that we need to go there. It's extremely important. And Archibald says, no, we cannot do that. It's way too dangerous. There's nothing but death there, right? And at that point, Vatha's like, listen, I shared Betazoid meditation with you. It's been extremely beneficial for you. I'm struggling right now, and the reason why I'm struggling is we have been granted this blessing from the Betazoids. This female entity is asking for trust at this point. We have been given this gift. We need to return that gift with trust. And she's like, Archibald, I need you to trust me now, right? No one on this ship will trust me but you. And I think the way I've guided you in your Betazoid meditation has earned that trust. Please be the only person on this ship right now who will trust me. And Archibald's like, no, I will not trust you. We will not return to the Ion Storm. And so Vatha comes out of the Betazoid meditation and stands and starts to leave. And but Archibald, just says, hey, what's going on? And then makes a very important roll. And by the way, there's a lot of rolls that I haven't said this was a roll, but this is a pretty critical roll. And he's like, I need to understand what she's going to do next. So that's a reason and medicine roll that I called for, and he utterly failed it. So the gold player just totally failed this roll, getting no additional information and having no idea what Vatha would do next. And then she leaves, and Archibald is extremely unsettled because he knows they got a big problem incoming. Because she's clearly not stable. He has to tell Archer that she should be removed from her position, but he also is pretty clear she's got plans and she ain't gonna just take this lion down, right? And so that's where I'm gonna leave it off here. You just heard every single word you just heard is my humble opinion on Star Trek Adventures, Modiphius 2d20 Warp Onyx campaign. The important part is when I get to hear your humble opinion. When you get in the comments and send your traffic, please consider liking and subscribing, and have a fetch millennium.